Hello, hello, my name is Mero, and this is my Awesome Games Done Quick 2019 submission for Ultimate Angler 5 Islands. Got a fair amount to talk about, so I'm gonna get right into it. 3, 2, 1, go. So real quick, the story of this game is that there were some freak sightings of thought to be long extinct monstrous fish, like hundreds of feet long. And we're trying to catch them for scientific research. We've been hired by this girl here. Her name is Coraline, and she's an absolute cutie pie. And she and her dad have hired us to come to this island and have us reel in these monster fish. So because we're such a hot demand angler, they're gonna show us how to fish. And this tutorial isn't really anything special. We do have strats to make it slightly faster by skipping the yellow bait. And you saw there that when the fish bit down on the line, I was able to get that orange text on the screen. That is a perfect reaction, and each one of them is an audio cue I have to listen very closely for in order to reel in the fish on time. The longer you wait, the more angry the fish will get. We might see that a couple times. But something I haven't mentioned yet is that I'm holding R for the entire duration of the game, except when I'm actually reeling a fish in, because it doubles the animation of basically everything, and it also doubles the amount, or it cuts in half the amount of time I actually have to react to these fish. So the audio cue is very important. And what I'm doing here is mixing bait in order to catch larger fish. There we go. You can see there, when you get a fish of a certain size, any help you have with you is going to come over and help reel it in. That was actually a very nice sea bass. Sometimes he can get a little bit angry and fight back and cost 15 seconds. Because we really only have one extra person helping us pull, it kind of takes a fair bit longer. But now on this screen you can see we got gold and experience for reeling these fish in. This game actually has a fair amount of JRPG elements to it. Of all things, right? And later on we're going to go into like the fishing rod crafting system, which, that's a thing. We're going to go in a bit to, not RNG nip, but sort of stacking the odds in our favor, I suppose. I believe RNG in this game is determined on the system clock. I know a lot of 3DS games do it that way. Haven't actually pried the code open to see that yet. But basically, we don't have any way to straight up manipulate the RNG, but there's a lot of things we can do to, as I said, stack the odds in our favor. And so this is the intro finished, and now we are going to buy 10 helpers with play coins. And we're going to do this every time we clear an area. And the reason we buy 10 as opposed to 1 or 2 is not only because the cutscene for buying 10 is faster, but we'll have more pulling power behind us when we reel in larger fish, which is very crucial coming up in a few minutes. And we of course have more options for bait. That's part of what I meant by stacking the odds in our favor. And I have tested buying fewer helpers will take more time, because more often than not you won't have anything to get the fish you need. Because of course, certain fish only like certain types of bait. So it's very crucial that we have as many options open to us as possible at any given time. You're gonna see here, I'm gonna mix 2 brown pieces together. And you saw on the top screen there for a brief moment that the only fish that likes brown, the only fish that likes the brown bait is the one we're going after. And that's him right there. There's our boy. And that's when a fish that you're going for is the only one in the area that likes that bait, we call that an exclusive. I am going to be calling it that throughout the run, so if you hear me say exclusive, that's what I mean. One sec here. There we go. So we toss in whatever bait we have left for these first few areas because we have to get enough EXP to get to rank 3. We're at rank 2 when we get out of here. You can see on the results screen. We need about 300 points to get to the next rank. then we have to get that much EXP to be allowed to access the boss area. Which makes sense in the context of, like, a Street Pass game. Oops. I keep forgetting, after this first area, you have to put something in this aquarium. There's a really intricate, like, decorating system, but we don't go into that because it's, you know, it's decorating. It's not useful in a speedrun. So again, we're gonna buy more helpers with play coins. When I get to these screens, I'm mainly just focusing on my note sheet and kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I actually get to the area as not to waste time. So these are decent times to get a donation or two in. They're interspersed pretty frequently throughout the run, and they're only about 20 seconds each. And oftentimes I won't be, you know, actively speaking during those times, so it's probably better to read something then anyway. So moving on, we have this second area, and depending on how we do here, we might be able to skip having to catch a second fish in the next area, which saves about 15 to 20 seconds. But I'm going to mix two yellow pieces together, because yellow's an exclusive here. There he is. You can tell partly by the size of their shadow, and partly by the when the dogs run over to help us, they only do that for fish that are big enough. And every fish we're actively trying to catch in this run is considered big enough. So if we're not actively trying to get EXP, and we see that shortened animation, we know it's not our fish. And if you see a small shadow when you're trying to catch something huge, of course you can just pull out the line before they bite and save yourself a little bit of time there. You don't get the bait back, unfortunately, but what can you do? Let's see how we did. Alright, so we should be clear to catch just one fish in the next area, assuming we get it first try. So what you saw there is the game is giving me gold and it's giving me fishing rods. And sometimes it even gives me so much gold that I earn a fishing rod, and then so many rods that I get gold. And throughout the early game, we're going to get a lot of these rewards, because this is the kind of game they really designed you to play like once per day. But, of course, we're going to do it in like a little over an hour. So we get a lot of these rewards really quick. The reason we're hoarding all this gold is because when we get to 30,000, we get a rod with much more powerful stats than the one we have, and I'll get more into that later. But for now, it looks like we have good bait to catch what we gotta catch at this next spot. This part is a little bit scripted, because of course there's only one place we can go at any given time. But it's still got stuff going on. Light green, okay. So the exclusive bait here is purple, but we didn't get that, so I'm tossing in combinations that our fish in particular likes the most. It doesn't always work like you see here, but we need the EXP anyway, so I just reeled it in. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the fish skip, but that is fine. We do have a couple other chances. I'm trying to use bait that other fish don't like in order to convince our bigger boy to hop on. This is a little risky, because if he doesn't bite the line, we're kind of out of luck. Ooh, missed the reaction there. Yeah, that's the second best reaction you can get, and you can see he starts off a little more angry. The line tension is a little bit higher, but it's okay, because we got our boy, and we can move on just fine. Only lost about 40 seconds to that whole thing, most likely. But yeah, if we had just done a few pieces of bait, we would have only had one shot, which made things a lot tougher. And believe it or not, the size of the fish does matter, because fish that are size B or above give you a multiplier to how much gold you'd get. Which, of course, we're saving to get 30k, so that's going to help us a lot. And coming up here is the boss of this island, I suppose. the one we've been ranking up to get to. He likes black and purple exclusively, but then green and red are also things he'll bite the line for. So our chances aren't spectacular, but they're also not zero, so we're gonna go for it. If I do come up into a situation where it's a 0 chance to catch what we need, I will probably just exit the application, go back to the main Street Pass Me Plaza menu, and that saves having to watch this cutscene. Unfortunately, you don't get the play coins back though, which is a little upsetting. Now you see there, I'm tossing in an orange as well, even though nothing else here likes orange. That's part of our stacking the odds. There we go. Now, instead of having a straight-up distance meter, we have to tire this fish out tremendously before we can pull him in, which is part of why we get 10 helpers. Because this fight with the basic rod we have is barely possible as it stands. Like, if I got the second best reaction there, it would be like to the buzzer tight with how close it would have to be. But I'm mainly trying to keep the tension on the line down until till that anger meter on the side goes to green or yellow, because as he is fighting back, of course, it's going to put more tension on the line. We're going to reel down his stamina a little less. So when he tuckers himself out, it's a good time to just pull him in. We should be on pace. That Q on screen showed up at about when the bar was about 3/4 full. That's a good indicator that you're on pace. Unfortunately, we didn't get the gold multiplier on this guy because he gives a whopping 4,000. But it's fine. It's fine. We did clear the first island, and this is where the run I think gets really interesting, because we no longer have a set route. Because the next 4 islands we can access in any order at any time. So depending on the type of bait we get, we can stack the odds in our favor to go to different islands at different times. Which means this run's gonna have a lot of on-the-fly type of, route planning. I do have the note sheet, and there is a decently lengthed cutscene in between each objective, which gives me plenty of time to kind of think about what I want to do based on the colors of bait I get. And so the rest of the run, the estimate is a lot higher than my PB, probably. No, definitely. It's definitely a lot higher. Because my PB that I set the day before this is 106.42. It's a record I'd actually taken almost a year to beat. But then you finally get it, and it's like, wow, insane luck, So we're at that point. But a lot of the RNG, as you saw earlier with trying to catch the fish first try and whatnot, we can stack the odds, but it's still random. And I've had runs go as long as an hour 28. Actually, an hour 28 was the time I got in this game's first marathon showing at ResortFest International back in July. And that was well loved by the people who ran the show, basically. Multiple people had came and said that was one of their favorites of the run. I usually consult my note sheet to determine where I want to go, but in this particular instance, I just really wanted to assess my options up close. But here, there's no exclusive baits, so we gotta kind of try our luck a couple times. This is not it, but this is fine, because we need to get eventually to rank 15 for the final area on these islands. As we go, I'm going to be referring to the islands as top, high, low, and bottom. So if you hear me say that, that's what I mean. Like you can see that there's really nothing for just catching our guy. Ooh, this doesn't look good. But this is alright. As long as you have at least one piece of bait that you mix together that your fish likes, there's a chance. But of course, everything here likes the same bait, so it doesn't always happen. This is one of the early game problem areas, I guess I'd call it. Because a lot of stuff can go wrong. It's not a huge time loss because we are trying to build up EXP anyway. But depending on when you get to this area, it can be detrimental. But there's our guy, and you can see here, we got him. And we're going to open up another area on this island. But the other islands we still have to go through. So depending on what we get next is going to determine which island we go to. So that's... It's part of the run, I think, to kind of think of stuff, or, sorry, the best part of the run, to kind of think of these things on the fly. It's like a randomizer, almost. Well, because it is random, I suppose, but... You know. Alright. We have a couple options here. I think I'm going to go to the island we were just on again, because I regularly have issues there, and the fact that we have green and red spells very well for us. Although, Alright, we could go there, or we could go here. I ended up going to the bottom because we had better odds to catch the thing we wanted, because we have 4 out of our 10 pieces that this fish likes, as opposed to 3. And we can do a combination like, purple and blue, and only our fish likes both of them, which means we got a huge chance to catch him. This might be him. Oh, nope, never mind. We do have another chance, though, which is why I came here. Okay, so every now and again, you can have a piece of garbage be reeled in, which is unfortunate. But, you know, it's fishing, it happens. Every now and again you'll reel in a can or a boot or a stick. Alright, and we got him, and you saw there the water was sparkling. After you catch so many fish, you will be able to do what's known as a feeding frenzy, where you can tap the bottom screen in a little mini-game to get dozens and dozens of fish in basically no time at all, which allows us to skip basically all grinding. So I'm just going to take care of this real quick. Maybe you can hear it in the mic, but I'm tapping the touchscreen with both of my thumbs in this kind of like circular motion. And 60 is very nice, very nice. In order to only have to do 3 of those, you need an average of around 55 to 58. So the fact we got 60 first tries, that spells well for us. And that's also part of why we get 10 dogs with us. Because, you have 11 total areas to fish up. Including your own. So that's pretty good for us. We're just going to be given a bunch of rods for catching so many fish. Then we're going to get so much gold because we got so many rods. It feels really... like, it's oddly satisfying to just be given so much praise for doing next to nothing. It's like Cooking Mama, almost. Not the speedrun of that. I don't actually know what that's like, but I mean just like playing the game, you know. Anyway. So, I'm just gonna look carefully at my list as these guys roll in, determine where we're gonna go. There's a couple areas I want to get to fairly early, like the top island right now, because it's one of those problem areas again. Gonna go there now. Of course, because there's really no movement in this game, a lot of times just through fast menuing. This could be our guy. A lot of issue with this area in particular is that other than purple, all the bait that our fish likes are also liked by this octopus. So even though we use bait he didn't like, we still get him a fair amount anyway. So I'm gonna do purple and white. Yeah, purple and white. Which will give us better chance to catch our guy. Ooh, that's not our guy. But we need the EXP anyway, so I'll take it. He's fighting back an awful lot for such a little guy. But stuff like that won't happen when we get the upgraded rod, which is on the horizon, I think. So now we have white and yellow. And really not a whole lot else. Now normally I'd toss in a couple bait that no one likes to kind of stack the odds for our fish, but all the other bait we have is liked by everything else here. This can be it. Alright. Getting through these areas relatively first try is very... It doesn't happen all the time. Like you can see there, we just barely had the chance. And then we're gonna ditch because none of the bait we need is gonna catch anything substantial. And part of the reason why we catch more fish going through is because feeding frenzies only happen after you catch so many of them. Game's gonna give us a little more gold. So it's like after you catch so many fish, the water will start to sparkle. Kind of like a 3, 2, 1 countdown based on the size of those sparkles. But the important thing is just catching the fish you need and leaving hardly ever gets you enough. So to kind of play it safe, we just pretty much throw our bait in. If we get the fish we need the very first time, just chuck the bait in usually. See what comes up. It's gonna be a lot more substantial, I guess, when we get the upgraded rod, because it's gonna be less time for an extra pull. We're gonna go to this area, which has some of the greatest music in the game, in my opinion, but that's aside the point. Because we have orange and we have light green. Oh, sorry, we have pink. You know what? We have orange. And there we go. That's just how useful it is to have exclusives. If I'd mixed it, I could have possibly lowered my chance to catch the fish, which would have been pretty bad. And you can see there, even though this was a big catch, he's so close to the edge of the shore that we can just reel him in basically instantly anyway. And there's another one. Hey, not bad. Look at that! We caught a fish! Sorry, it's an eel rather. And ooh, it's another A+. So you saw earlier the first A+ you catch, which I believe was the octopus. You will get 1,000 gold just for reeling it in, and then you still get the 2.5 multiplier on top of that. Which means we inch ever closer to 30k. Now there is the very, very rare chance that when you catch a fish, it'll drop a treasure chest. And if you catch a fish with a 2-star rating, there's a chance that the chest will be 2 stars as well. And 2-star chests have a chance to hold the treasure rod that we're saving up for. It's so unlikely to happen that it's basically something you don't think about during the run. But it can happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Actually, in my most recent PB, I got the treasure rod out of a chest from the very first area. It was insane. Like, that's probably the luckiest thing I've ever had happen in a speedrun. It was nuts. But the reason we're going for the treasure rod specifically, I'll get more into that later. We gotta catch this boy right now, and he does not want to be caught. Actually, speaking of, a real quick side note, because when we exit the clubhouse, anything we don't put into a tank is released into the wild, so we're saving frames and animals. How about that? Alright, and of course we're just going to toss in whatever we have left, get a little closer to a frenzy. Now, usually you'll have 2 frenzies before you have enough gold to to earn the treasure rod. But we may get enough just by catching enough high-ranking fish. Really can't say yet, but it could go either way. And the rods that we're being given are actually going to be useful later as well. So that's something to keep in the back of your skull. I wish there was, like, the areas right after the one we're at now are great for this kind of bait. Like cyan and orange are great for the area right after this that we don't have access to yet. Oh, that's a lot of orange. Good lord. Is anything like cyan? Oh, wait, something like orange, never mind. Now, light green is the exclusive here, so I would have been better to come here with that, but this fish really doesn't put up too much of a fight. This area is generally not that much trouble. You can see that the water is starting to sparkle just a little bit. It's about 3 fish to catch until we have a frenzy. And there we go. There's our pudgy friend. Yeah, like I said, there are certain areas that are better than others. Like the first areas for the top and low islands, for instance, are pretty troublesome. But this one's usually not too bad. Alright. Now, having to actually fight these regular-sized fish, basically, is going to be a thing of the past once we hit 30k, which should happen this next round, because of the frenzy coming up. And it is going to influence where I go, because certain areas have certain types of bait. Or certain areas have fish that yield more EXP than others. Because when you do the frenzy, you can only catch, like, the small fries for that area. So going to a place like where the largemouth bass was earlier wouldn't give us a lot. So, gonna be pretty careful here. Oops, sorry, my finger slipped off the R button there for just a second. Alright, looks like we're going to the top island. Now this area in particular gave me a lot of trouble during the RFI run I did. Or that's the ResortFest run. I lost about 15 minutes just to this one spot alone, but we have the exclusive it likes, so we have much better chances. And hey, there it is. Should be anyway. Could be this smallmouth bass, which we're hoping not to see again. And we see him again. Unfortunate. We still have a chance, though. This could be him. And alright, we got the eel. No problemo. And here's Feeding Frenzy 2. As long as you keep a consistent rhythm with where you hit each spot, you can do this fairly well. I kinda let mine slip while I was talking, unfortunately. But we should have enough to put us over the gold threshold. That's not the greatest area to have a frenzy, but it'll get us to 30k. Like you can see that we're only getting a couple hundred for each one. Whereas the first one we did, we got around like 10,000. But we have just enough. Thank goodness. Not to mention, well, there's the treasure rod. So now we're going to merge rods to make 3 copies of the one we already have. Let's see here. I have some of the combinations memorized, but a lot of them that you get from random drops I don't actually know off the top of my head. Then there's this, and then there's the lifeboat and skeleton rods, which we will merge together. Alright. So now we have 4 identical copies of the rod we started with, which we're then going to merge together with each other. And what this is going to do is it's going to give it 3 extra stat points. Which is, of course, you know, the higher your stats go, the better your rod is. And while we're here, we just take care of it, because it does end up saving time. Then we're going to take this master rod, merge it with the treasure rod to create the sword rod, which we're then going to upgrade. And you can see there that second stat, which is pulling power, is incredibly important. Because now we can pull in fish exponentially faster. Then while we're here, we just upgrade everything else. I'll come back in a bit when we have more money, because every upgrade costs a little bit more than the previous one. So that is the sword rod. You're going to see now that when we catch regular old fish, it's going to go a lot smoother, a lot quicker. Also helps us a whole lot with the boss fish, because there's 4 of them, and they're a lot tougher than the one we fought earlier. So just kind of paying attention to my notes here for a split second. Light green is good for the... Okay. I'm also trying to hit each area somewhat equally, because if you get stuck with fewer options, you're going to have to deal with worse luck. Okay, oh no. Yes. So this area is probably my favorite in the game, because this fish only likes 2 types of bait, and they're both exclusive. Not to mention, this fish has a 3-star rarity, which gives a chance to drop a 3-star chest, which is an even better rod. Potentially. Every rod can be combined with each other to create different combinations, and that can be helpful to us. But there's our koi. No chests, unfortunately. But you know what? While we're here, we're just gonna toss in one more time, see what we get. Alright, that's fine. No chest, it looks like? Yeah, no chest. Like I said, it's so rare it basically never happens. But we're clearing areas. We're about halfway through the top island, almost done with the high one. Still got a lot of work to do on the bottom islands, which is fine. Alright, we have a fair number of options here. I think I'm gonna go down to the bottom island and catch a carp. That seems like the best choice for now. Unfortunately, I don't have any real good way to put the layout or the note sheet on the screen with me. But that looks like it's him. But yeah, now that we have the sword rod, any gold we get is basically useless. Because we can upgrade a little bit further, which I'm probably going to do, but it's not gonna, you know, save minutes like actually getting the rod does. But there's our carp. Gonna toss in one more time. Oop. Knocked my 3DS there by accident. Made my finger slip off the R trigger. So yeah, there's 2 carps, 2 quick ones. We're moving right along. We're almost to rank 10, which is good for the second of the 4 boss areas. They have minimum requirements of 7, 10, 12, and 15. So we are trying to get ultimately to 15. So usually though, because the bosses yield so much EXP, we try to go to the final one last, because otherwise we'd be over-leveling and, you know, eating up time. These options are so much better for the areas above where we are that we don't have access to yet. Actually, no, this is fine. This is A-okay. Now, light green is the exclusive here, but we don't have that. But we do have a fair number of chances to get him anyway. Purple pink looks good. This might be too big. That's funny enough, but there's a much bigger fish you can catch here. That little text that showed up was the rod skill activating. That's basically a passive. The flower rod we were given in the first island's cutscene has the skill where you get a much higher gauge at the coast, which is determined. Basically, certain areas you'll have a much higher gauge. The gauge span itself isn't really an issue, but we can't. It would take more work to not get the skill, so we just, you know, we accept it. So that went really smoothly, actually. Now we're at rank 10. There's 2 bosses we can get to, theoretically, without having to, you know, rank up anymore. Game's gonna give us a little more money. I'm gonna upgrade my... Ooh, wrong menu. Gonna upgrade this rod a couple more times. Oh, whoopsie daisy. Guess one more time. Of course, doing all this menuing at once does save a little time, but money was fairly tight when we first got the treasure rod. Alright. Alrighty. I really want to go to the low island, because we've barely made any progress on that. I'm looking for red and green to go there. And a lot of them. Yellow's fine as well. Oh, no. Not enough chances. Is this... Oof. Yeah, sometimes you get situations like this where you really don't have great luck for any one spot. I'll just kind of show off. We're gonna go here though, because we have, I think, 1 exclusive, and then 2 other chances, and this guy doesn't usually give us a lot of trouble. Yeah, brown is the exclusive. We don't have that, but we can still get him. Not this try, it looks like. That's alright. That is okay. That's acceptable. Now I'm gonna choose bait that no one else here likes. If I can? Nope. Nope. Light green? Yeah. So by mixing bait that nobody likes, we make it more appealing for our large fish. We got him. It makes it more appealing for the large fish, while also driving away other fish that don't like it. The size of the fish will be a lot smaller, because it's a scrappier fish. He'll eat basically anything, you know? But we got what we needed. At this point, we're gonna get another frenzy, so EXP isn't the hugest deal at this exact moment. But we're almost done with the bottom island. Like I said, I'd like to get to the low island, if I can help it. Because as you go, having, 4 places to go instead of 3 gives you a lot more freedom in stacking the odds. So we're out of play coins, which means it's allowed in the rules that we are allowed to get more out of necessity. There's no other way to beat this category with just 300 coins without insanely good luck. Like, luck's so good it's never actually happened in practice. Or in execution, I mean. So we're just gonna take a few more with us. Now, if you want to reject this run on the grounds that it uses a homebrew application alone, I totally understand. But as I was saying before, I do think the improvisational nature of this run makes it worthwhile, even despite that. And yeah, like I said, we have experimented with using fewer helpers, fewer dogs, whichever, to save play coins, but not only is buying one dog a much longer cutscene that you have to see 5 times, but you have less manpower, fewer points for feeding frenzies, and you have much worse overall luck because you have fewer options. So all in all, it's not the ideal solution, but it's our solution for now. We don't have any real glitches in this game at the moment, but if we find one that allows us to bypass the 300 coin limit, for instance, or to to easily and consistently finish the run within 300, then we will definitely do that. But at the moment, we don't have anything. Alright, so this area and the bottom island, this is the high island and the bottom island, we both have access to the bosses. I want to try to clear out other islands, though, first. Mainly the low island, just because if you get bottlenecked at the end, it's going to take a lot more time to deal with lesser options. And here's frenzy number 3. Ugh. I accidentally tapped the screen with both thumbs at the same time, which put the actual input for touch directly in the middle, which meant I couldn't get those last couple. It's a little unfortunate. But yeah, at this point, we're mainly doing this just to save on having to grind. We're already at rank 11 before we've hit any bosses. I'm probably going to play out the next frenzy. We actually experience 5 in most runs. And depending on how they go and how much luck you get, you can either play out 3 or play out 4. You can't really do anything about them, because you still have to catch the fish that start the cutscene. But if you don't catch anything, you can skip the fanfare a little quicker. You don't have as much time on the results screen. So if you don't need the EXP, obviously we don't play it out. We're really getting the worst possible options for the second island there. Or the third island, I suppose. Like, I'll show it off real quick. Like, we need green, yellow, and red. And we only have 1 shot for each. But here, oh, you can actually soft lock on that cutscene if you do it frame perfectly. But here we have 2 exclusive light greens and 3 light blues. Which means our odds here are so much better than basically anywhere else. So I'm going to toss in a light green and a light blue. And there he is. There's our large boy. Or maybe it's not a boy, but it's still large. And just like before, we have this little stamina meter. Unlike before, you're going to see it fall down much faster, because we have a much more powerful rod at our disposal. So I'm just going to be tiring him out and then pulling him in. Like, you can see just how much quicker this is going with the upgraded pulling power. Like, the tension is low, the boss is almost, in our grasp. The Q that showed up at 3/4 last time isn't even on the screen yet, and we've almost done away with all his stamina. Can I get Q-less? Alright. But yeah, you can see now we're ooh, that's gonna be a multiplier. That's not bad. Yeah, you can see there that the stamina bar and whatnot, we drain it way quicker. And the fact that there's 4 more of those guys makes it so much worth it to deal with all this rod upgrading stuff. Because now, compared to our first boss, we have a rod that pulls in quicker, gains tension slower, and releases it much faster. So between all of that, we have really, really nice odds. Or really nice not chances, but it's much easier and much faster to get the boss we're looking for. Now I'm covering up on my note sheet the area we've cleared, so I don't even consider it an option. I really want to see a lot of green and a lot of yellow and a lot of red. We're barely getting any. Look, there's 1 green in this entire display. I think we're going up top. Brown and light blue. Oh. Yeah, and that's purple and blue, which we only have 2 shots at. And here we have 1 shot with 1 green, which isn't even exclusive. So we're gonna go up top. I'd really, really love if I could get this lower island cleared out a fair bit more, but it's not looking that way. In my, in the ResortFest run I had mentioned earlier, this was this top island, in particular the eel, that made it next to impossible to actually clear this island before any of the others. And so there was a lot of time lost due to just not having the right bait for the job. Or having the right bait but not a lot of chances, and you lose a bunch of time there. I am going to toss in 1 more time, get us a little closer to Frenzy 4, and then after that I'll probably stop doing these extra catches. But yeah, once we're at Frenzy 4, we'll basically be set on EXP for the rest of the run. Ooh, not bad. Yeah, you can see there we're going to hit rank 12. That's going to give us access to the 3rd boss area, which we can't actually visit yet, but we'll be able to unlock it when we get the chance. And that's the low island, which is part of why I want to get to it so quick. Alright, we don't have spectacular chances, but we have more than 1, so I think I'm going to go for it. Just because this area in particular gives a lot of issue, and all the other ones not so much. It's a little bit risky, kind of, but the other alternative is clearing the other islands and being stuck having to go to this one over and over again until you get what you need, and running out of play coins again, and stuff like that. So hopefully this goes well. Actually, we've gotten pretty far into the run without having to actually, like, leave an area empty-handed. But that can happen, is that you won't catch what you need, and you won't have any more bait left, which eats up a lot of your time. Okay, this at least isn't a piece of garbage. It's like actually a fish. But yeah, like I said, this is pretty risky. And there's the treasure chest that I was mentioning earlier. 1 stars are fairly common, but they don't actually do a whole lot. Anything here like purple? Yes, it does. Okay. We really don't have spectacular options here, which is my concern. I'll just try red and orange, I suppose. If this doesn't work, count as a miss. We don't really have a good name for what it's called when you exit an area without catching what you need. I used to call it like a missed trip or empty-handed, something like that. But either way, we don't have to deal with that right now, because we have cleared this area. One of the final problem areas of the run is now over with. Thank goodness. And yeah, those rods that we get from the 1-star chests, like the kind of dingy looking ones that you just saw there, they can be the rod that we start with. I believe it's called like the basic rod or something. It's been a long time since I played this game in English, so... basically, it'll save you a little bit on having to, of course, make another one. But we didn't get that, which is fine. I'm surprised we actually didn't get any chests until so late in the run, though. Pretty surprising. Alright. We could go to boss number 2 if we wanted. We don't have spectacular bait for anywhere else. Lower Island still isn't really an option. Like I'll show you here. No, well, we have 1 shot with 1 exclusive each. Or here we have 2 shots, but here we have a whole bunch. So we're gonna go take on boss number 2. And like I said, this isn't... We're going in like rank order, but that's not because we planned it. It's just kind of the way the run worked out. The problem with this guy, though, is that he has no exclusives, and most combinations are shared with other fish in the area. So it makes it pretty tough to get him in just 1 shot. Like you can see there, that's not him. I'm not even going to bother reeling it in, because I know. White and purple is not spectacular either, because we can catch a little squid instead, and that's not our boy. Oh, there he is, actually. Should be, anyway. Yeah, there he is. The reason I hesitated for a moment there on calling this our boy is because you can also catch a tuna here, which has an equally large shadow. But then it, of course, doesn't have the little boss meter. You don't clear the island for catching him and whatnot. And it has cost me a fair number of runs before to thinking that was the real deal. Yeah, and like before, this fight is basically a breeze with the sword rod. Almost got him pulled in. Can we get the no Q? We did not, but that's fine, because we still got him. He's kind of tiny, but he still gives the same amount of EXP one way or the other. So I am going to have to play out Frenzy 4, which costs about, like, 20 to 30 seconds on the menu, but... really, compared to underleveling, that's not a huge deal. Something I didn't realize until just recently is that you can, in fact, catch the boss fish more than once if you have enough bait at that same area. It's not necessarily guaranteed, but if you're really low on levels and you need to catch something quick, that's what you do. Going to deal with my notepad again. So now we have only 2 spots remaining, which means the luck we get is going to be a lot more hit or miss. Black, pink, light green, or orange, or cyan, green, and orange. I think we're good on this one. The area on the top island is also a bit of a troubled area, so I'd like to get to it as soon as I can if I can help it. In a rare occurrence, we actually have decent enough bait for both areas, which surprises me a lot. I'm gonna actually manually check each one this time. Yeah, black, light green, orange. Or we have cyan, green, orange. Because we have 3 exclusives, we're gonna go to the bottom island, or the low island at this point. I'm just gonna toss those bad boys in. Hopefully catch our man. This should be him. There's no reason it should be anyone else. And there he is. Look at that. So now that we're getting toward the end of the run, basically. We're in the late game at this point. The next frenzy we get, a lot of the fish later areas have much higher EXP yields, which means we'll be able to rank up between that, the remaining areas, and the level 12 boss. We'll be able to hit rank 15 very comfortably. There's 6 areas remaining, including the bosses, which isn't bad. And, I was about to say something, but then I forgot it. But, yeah, we're pretty much set on EXP as long as I play out a half-decent Frenzy 4. We shouldn't need to do a 5th one, but depending on how it goes, I might change my tune. Oh, that's not... I was looking at the wrong part of the sheet, my mistake. Pink and orange, 3 shots. Purple and blue, 3 shots. We got an exclusive here, so this is our better chance. I was looking at the area after this one for where to go. That was my mistake. Yeah, we have 2 exclusives. We can play a little dangerous with this first one. Is this? Nope, it's actually something. I thought it was gonna be a boot, but it's actually this turtle, which is acceptable. Ooh, wait. We have light blue. Is anything else here like pink? No, it doesn't. Alright, this is our best bet. To catch this boy. And we got him. Alright. And of course, coming out this Frenzy 4, I'm gonna play this one to my absolute best of my ability. Even more than I was playing the other ones to the best of my ability. Just so we're absolutely safe on EXP. I did the thing with hitting the screen with both thumbs again, but 60 is very nice. Let's see how much EXP we get in total. If all goes well, it'll be... Oh yeah, this is more than enough to put us at rank 14. I think. Almost, almost. Might have spoke too soon on not needing any more EXP. We could make it just fine. Oh, wait, the boss is coming up still, okay. Sorry, I'm just... If you're underleveled, you have to go to a spot more than once to grind, and that's just... Ugh, it's not fun, it's not good. Really hoping that doesn't have to happen. Purple and white and red aren't actually useful anywhere. The light green is good, brown is good. White, not so much. Dark green, not so much. Ooh, I didn't realize just how bad we were doing. Manual comparison for safety's sake. Brown's an exclusive, so we may only have 1 chance, but we have a chance. If there's absolutely no chance I can catch anything, I do usually just exit out of the app, or the application, and try again. Nope, something like that. Something like purple? No, it doesn't. Alright. And like I said, mixing bait gives you a much higher chance to get big fish. Even if they don't actually like the bait you reel in. But you know what? I'm really concerned with the XP counter now, so I'm just going to toss in what we have one last time. Maybe we'll hit Frenzy 5, and I'll kind of play that one out. Just, I would much rather be overleveled than underleveled. And I think I underestimated. I underestimated the EXP yield on that Frenzy 4. so the boss area is opened up now. There's 4 total spots remaining. Bait's not great for the boss, but we do have decent stuff for the top island. Now this lake trout, as the fish is called at this top area, has also given me a ton of trouble in the past. I have a video saved of losing about 15 minutes to this one area. Of course, I was younger and a lot less experienced at the game back then, but, you know, something to note. I was also not really using a note sheet back then to kind of assist, so that might have attributed to some of that. But we do have a good number of chances here, so... Hey, hey. Look at that, first try. Amazing. Okie dokie. So we're just gonna toss everything in. I know I had said I wasn't going to do that, but EXP is really a smallmouth. Anyway, EXP is pretty tight at this point, so I definitely want to bump that up for safety's sake. Alright, rank 14 we can definitely work with, because if we catch the 3rd boss right away, we'll be at rank 15 very comfortably. We are looking for green, orange, and red for that one. Sorry, dark green, orange, and red. So, fingers crossed. Let's see. Black, pink, orange. Alright, alright. That was, I hesitated there because I wanted to see all 10 of my options at the same time while, consulting my notes. Did lose a little time, but in a game like this, sometimes you have to kind of mull things over. It's like 99% of the time it's quick decision making, but in some instances it's, not that easy. So we could go here. Gonna unlock that for now. Orange and red, nuh-uh. Because everything there likes either orange or red. The reason I like to go there with red and green is because nothing likes that particular combination. So we're gonna toss in a pink. We're gonna toss in... We don't have any extra kind of like throwaway bait, unfortunately. So we're just gonna toss in a black because the fish also likes that one. Hey, hey, not bad. Alright, and for whatever reason, this one fish, and this one fish alone, has a mini-meter. He's almost like the second-hand man to the final boss, I guess, or the right-hand man to the final boss. Even though he's a fish and doesn't have any hands at all, but... There he is. I believe this is like the Wells catfish is his name, something like that. He's not even the biggest fish we catch, and for whatever reason, he has his own mini-meter. I'm not feeling great about our bait count, or our EXP count. And like I said, I'd rather be over than under. It's gonna lose probably a little bit of time, but less time than having to go to an entirely new place again would be. So, this should be alright. Probably gonna be a lot bigger than the previous one. Alright, it is bigger. Another chest, doesn't help us any, but we got it. So now actually dark green is great for both of the areas we're trying to go to. So depending on what other stuff we get, will determine where we go. Well, scratch that. We have to hit rank 15 first. So if we get good stuff for that, we'll go. If not, we're gonna exit out and try again. Yeah, it's a little risky, but I think we can go for it. We do have a lot of extra play coins saved up, because we've actually... Usually at this point in the run, you will kind of leave the area empty-handed at least 3 times, but the luck has been really on our side today. Like, I appreciate it, you know? There's actually a joke among people who follow this game that the hat your Mii is wearing has this distinct effect on how your run's gonna go. And this was the hat I was wearing when I've gotten the most 2 recent PBs, so maybe they're onto something. Is that a throwaway? No, something likes yellow. Gonna toss in 2 greens. Can we get our large boy? We cannot. But yeah, this game has gotten a lot more consistent in terms of its luck lately. The estimate still is fairly high, but I am confident I can finish a run within that time. Like, every time. The problem with throwing 1 bait is that you rarely ever get what you need, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Oh, there's the other frenzy. We're not gonna play this one out. If you could stop fighting back and get on the line, please. Okie dokie. And there's the 2-star chest I was talking about earlier. We don't actually see what's in it until we get to the results screen, but the fact we got one is incredibly unlikely. Of course, it doesn't help us any now that we're so close to the end, but the fact we got one at all is still speaks volumes to just how blessed these runs have been lately. Ooh, thank goodness. Ooh, not bad at all. I was really concerned there, but there's a strat that has been coined the IDC strat. I'm sure you can figure out what it stands for. But it's basically, if you have only 1 piece of bait left, you just toss in everything you have and hope for the best. It was fairly effective for a long time, but then we just kind of got more consistent at avoiding those types of scenarios. But even still, they show up every now and again, like here, so... I really wouldn't say it's even a strat. It's just, you know, you have all that bait left, you can still get it. Kind of like a Hail Mary kind of thing. You just kind of throw it and hope for the best. This should be in the bag, or on the line. Not off the hook yet, though. Unrelated, but here is Nessie. And an A+ Nessie at that. That's right, the real we've finally found the Loch Ness Monster, and it's been hiding away in Street Pass Me Plaza this entire time. Can you believe it? Who would have thought that Nessie was... Who would have thought Nessie was a gamer? I'm sorry, that was bad. But yeah, that rod wouldn't have helped us anyway, so it's alright that we didn't get it earlier. Like, certain rods combined with certain other ones, and the palm tree rod, which I believe that was, wouldn't have been any use anyway. Neither would either of those, actually. Now we got one more cutscene. And like I said, we're hoping for dark green to catch this final boss, which we just peaked enough EXP for. And this run actually hit all the areas in the quote-unquote intended order. But that's basically a coincidence because, you know, we didn't decide to go to any one island first based on which one's fastest to go to first, you know. Like, it wasn't in the route before this run started, is what I'm saying. Alright, I think we can work with this. I really think we can. Because we have 2 exclusives and 1 light blue, which is the fish's second favorite bait. And we do have a couple things that no other fish in the area likes, a couple throwaways. So if and we need to, we can toss in a light blue and a throwaway. But yeah, the EXP from Nessie there gave us just enough to hit rank 15 to unlock this last area. Time's gonna be coming up when this final fish jumps out of the water, by the way. I mean, I'm controlling it, but, you know, it's just kind of for, you know, sake of clarity. Something likes red. This is risky to throw in both of your exclusives at the same time, because it didn't pay off. That was going to be some kind of garbage that we reeled in, most likely a jellyfish, funny enough. Ooh, nothing likes black in this area. Another piece of trash. Yeah, like I said, it's not consistent every time. But the fact we were able to make it to the very end of the run and only went home empty-handed at the last possible moment, it's really impressive. Compared to how often that would happen in an actual, like, sit-down setting, you know? Like, sit down, do a run, get really bad luck, start again. 3 light blues, no exclusives. I think we're gonna go for it. We do have a couple more chances. And times like this are why the estimate is as high as it is. Because there's just a lot that can go wrong, and you can only stack the odds in your favor so much before it's still, you know, the odds, not 100%, so it can be 0, basically. Gonna give it another go. And a fun fact, when you go to the area a second time, you don't get that little intro cutscene, which means... I don't really know what it means, but it's just something to point out, I guess. Come on, large boy. No. Alright, time for everyone's favorite strat, the IDC. Nope. Unfortunate. That's fine. Like I said, we did account for this in the estimate time, so no biggie. Yeah, and like I had mentioned, this kind of stuff is usually interspersed throughout the run. Alright, see there, we have absolutely no chance to catch the fish, so we're just going to leave the application. And that saves us from having to watch the entire cutscene, picking the area, and then going back to the clubhouse. Oh, there's new items available for plaza tickets. Neat. But yeah, if we don't get him this time, odds are we're gonna have to get play coins again. Alright, there's one shot. There's one single shot to get this guy, but I think we can go for it. I have faith. I believe this is the chance we have to catch this boy and to hit the timer on the time and say the run's finished. Stuff like that. This is gonna sound weird, but I'm actually kind of fortunate that we were able to show this off. Because I've recorded runs that have basically no bad luck. And I'm sure if someone were watching, they'd be like, wait, why is the estimate so high? And now you kind of get a first-hand taste of that. So in a weird way, it worked out. I'm really trying not to catch this king crab over there. We don't have any other throwaway stuff, so I think this is the best we can do for now. Alright, we got him. So this is the last time you get to hear this amazing soundtrack for the entire run. He's fighting back a lot, which, if he gets off the line, is going to be really, really bad for us, because that means we went through this whole catching ordeal, and we don't even get to bring the fish in. And since we're out of play coins, we'd have to go get more, and that's its own whole big ordeal. But again, we're looking for that indicator around the 3/4 mark. And I can kind of gauge how I'm doing based on the music as well. Because without the cutscene of the first one, the cue swells up at the same time, like right there. It's super intense. Like, this is the exact music you need to, like, give you the kick in the pants when you're on, like, a really good pace run, and you gotta hustle. And time. And that is Ultimate Angler 5 islands completed. All 5 islands have been completed. We have caught all the research fish we need for now. There is actually 9 total islands in this game. That would be like a post-game category. Think like an Elite Four Round 2 in a Pokemon game sort of thing. And that stone category, it's a lot different, a lot more RNG heavy, definitely. But that's beside the point. But yeah, 5 islands there's a lot of RNG, but as you saw, there's a lot we can do to kind of nullify most of it. Especially now as the game's been getting more consistent. There's the 5th island clear. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you consider this for the marathon. And like I said, there's a lot we can do to kind of combat the RNG. And of course, a run that you have to make up on the fly is always, you know, you make up on the fly, you have to adapt to it. It's always something that viewers like to see. So yeah, thank you so much, and have a great day.